Hello, my name is Mathias, and welcome to the weekly Wildcard drafts. This is a segment where I try to select the best team in FPL going forward in the next 3 or 4 game weeks. Obviously, you can't wildcard every week, even though I wish I could do that. But what I can do is show you what I think is the ideal team going forward, and that's what I'm going to do every week. So that's why I do the weekly wildcard draft. And like any other drafts, the NFL draft or NBA draft, for example, the number 1 pick is the player that I think is the best player to have. And the 15th pick is going to be the player that I'm the most unsure about going forward. But let's go ahead with the number 1 pick this week, and that is Ivan Toney. And the biggest reason to have Ivan Toney is the fact that he's the best captaincy option in Gameweek 27. And the second best reason is that he has double game week fixtures both in Gameweek 27 and in Gameweek 29. And he has a game in Gameweek 28, meaning that he has 5 fixtures in the next 3 game weeks, and that is only Brentford that have that honor. And seeing as Toney is the best Brentford pick and the best captaincy option, he's the number 1 pick. It's pretty much as simple as that. I think he is the best captaincy option, even better than my second pick, which is Alexis McAllister. I think Brighton are a really good team. They've shown that lately. They destroyed my personal favorite team, West Ham, 4-0. Could have been way more as well. It's one of the worst matches I've seen from West Ham pretty much since I started watching them. And much of that is because of Brighton and how good they are. So even without the double game weeks, they would have been some good options to have. But with the double game weeks in both 27 and 29, having Brighton players, 3 or at least 2 Brighton players, seems like, dare I say it, essential. But anyways, McAllister is my favorite midfield pick. There are obviously 3 major midfield picks to go for. That is McAllister, and it's Mitoma, and it's March. Personally, I went with March on the wildcard last week, and I'm already sort of regretting that, not only because he got less points than McAllister and Mitoma, but also because I think McAllister is the best option because he's on penalties, he's taking free kicks from close range, he's playing in the number 10 role now, which has affected his expected goals and other underlying stats in great ways, really. So he's producing a lot of chances and scoring or getting a lot of goal scoring chances himself. And he's obviously providing FPL points as well, since he scored a penalty and scored another or got an assist in the match against West Ham. So I think McAllister is the best option, and there are plenty of other good Brighton options to come. And I'm going to go with one straight away, and that is Pervis Estupiñán in defense. I think he is the best defensive option, and like I said, it's the same reasons like McAllister. They are a great team. They have amazing double game week fixtures, and also Estupiñán is just such a top class player. Like, I think he's going to get a lot of goals and assists going forward as well. And on top of that, Brighton have shown that they are really good defensively. Their defensive numbers lately are really, really good. You think of Brighton as like this attacking team that really think not much. They don't really think that much about defense, but they've been really defensively sound lately, and Estupiñán can get returns both defensively and offensively for you. So he might even be a more essential pick than McAllister. But I think if you want to go differential captain, you can obviously go McAllister as captain rather than Toney, but I still would advise having Toney as captain, and I still think that you should have several Brighton players, and the next pick is yet another Brighton player. It is Kaoru Mitoma, if you pronounce it correctly. I think that's how it's pronounced correctly. But anyways, Mitoma is my second Brighton midfielder. I picked him over March, even though I have March in my own team. I feel like Mitoma is more... He's a better player in general. I think he takes his chances really well, and he just provides a lot of nice abilities for Brighton. He is a main man for that squad. He's been a revelation this season, and we all know his dribbling capabilities, but we also know that he's a good finisher. He's really hardworking, and he's just a class player all around. So I'm leaning towards him over March. I'm leaning towards McAllister over March as well. But saying that, March is also still a great option. Obviously, I can't pick March on top of these players because you can only have 3 Brighton players still. But the one thing that March has over his other 2 midfielders is, or the other 2 Brighton midfielders, is the fact that he is cheaper, and also the fact that he doesn't play in the international break before Game Week 29, the very important double Game Week 29. Both McAllister and Mitoma play international matches abroad, and they will return back to England pretty pretty soon before the Brentford at home match, which is the first of the double game week 29 fixtures. But seeing as the Brentford match isn't the most ideal match in game week 29, the Bournemouth match is, and seeing as McAllister and Mitoma will pretty much play guaranteed in the Bournemouth match, and they also have a good chance of playing in the first match, I still think I prefer McAllister and Mitoma just because they are more safe when it comes to points. So seeing as Brighton are a really good team, you want to have the best Brighton assets, and I think those players are McAllister, Estupinian, and Mitoma. Next up, we go with yet another Brentford pick, and that is David Raya in goal. Obviously, you can't pick I feel like picking a Brighton goalkeeper like I did. I picked Sanchez last game week, and immediately that turned into a point hit for me going forward because I'm going to have to sell him. And the player I'm going to bring in for Sanchez is going to be Raya. Brentford, obviously, like I said with Tony, 5 fixtures in 3 game weeks. And the first few fixtures now, Everton away, Southampton away, Leicester at home, all decent chances of clean sheets. They don't have the best fixtures in double game week 29, but it's still a double game week, so you never know. He could save a penalty, he could get a clean sheet here and there. So I think Raya is the best goalkeeper to own going forward, and one of the more essential players to have in your squad as well. Next up, yet another sort of template pick. It is Marcus Rashford. He obviously had a disappointing game week against Liverpool. Didn't really do anything, didn't score. Man United got thumped 7-0, but I think that would only spur them on to be a really good team against Southampton at home. And as we know with Man United, they could beat Southampton 9-0. They've done that in the past, so maybe they respond from a 7-0 defeat with a 7-0 win or something. And if that happens, Rashford is the most likely to get the brunt of the points for Man United. He's been the best player in 2023 in the Premier League, potentially even in the whole world. That's not for me to decide. But what I'm going to decide is that Rashford is still essential, pretty much, to have in FPL going forward. They don't have a fixture in game week 28, but the Southampton fixture and the Everton fixture in game week 30 as well, on top of the double game week in 29, means that Rashford is a pretty much a no-brainer pick, and he is template for a reason. Let's face it. So far, pretty template, but the next pick is kind of outside the template. I've seen a couple people mention this player, and for good reason, because Ben Chilwell was amazing against Leeds in this past game week. And that's pretty much down to him playing wingback finally. So Potter, just like Tuchel, they really struggle to understand that Chilwell and Reece James are amazing wingbacks. Obviously, Tuchel usually played Chilwell at left wingback when he had the chance, but he played Reece James at right centre-back rather than right wing-back. Hopefully Graham Potter understands that Chilwell and Reece James are much better as wing-backs, or the team is much better with them as wing-backs, and that's what they showed against Leeds as well. Chilwell had 2 really dangerous shots in the box. He also got an assist for the Fofana goal on a corner. He's on corners as well. So seeing as Chelsea have the amazing fixtures that they have and how Chilwell can be such an explosive FPL player, I feel like he's a no-brainer to have in your squad, and I don't really see him in that many squads. I know a lot of people who wildcarded in 27, myself included, who don't have him, and you can get a huge edge on everyone else if you bring him into your own team. So I think Chilwell is an amazing option, especially seeing as Chelsea are really good defensively. They have been struggling under Potter, but defensively they've still been sound. That's why a lot of people have Kepa in goal, but I think Chilwell is the better option from the Chelsea defense. Next up, Kieran Trippier. Also another template pick. He's been template for a while now. He's been in my own personal squad the whole season, and I have no plans of ever selling him, really. Newcastle, obviously, good fixtures going forward. Wolverhampton at home, Nottingham Forest away. Not the best double game week, Man United and West Ham, but still, you can still get points there. And then Brentford away in game week 30. And it should also be mentioned that in game week 31 there might be a double game week for Newcastle and Brighton, to be fair. So having at least one Newcastle defender is something you need to consider, potentially even 2. We're going to get into that a bit later when I select my final defender. But Trippier is amazing, especially going forward as well. He could still beat the record for the best or the most points from an FPL defender all time in a single season, and I hope he does, because he deserves it. He's been so good for Newcastle, and a big reason why they've been in the top 4 battle for a couple months now, really. Next up, we have the first player without a single double game week fixture, and that is Harry Kane. He is the best player in terms of the players that don't double going forward, because he has Nottingham Forest at home, he has Southampton away, and then Everton away as well. 3 pretty good fixtures. He's been scoring a lot of goals against Southampton and Everton historically. Obviously hasn't faced Nottingham Forest that much because they haven't been in the Premier League, but Kane can score against anyone. And even though Spurs are a difficult team to judge because they can beat anyone and they can lose against anyone like they've shown the last few weeks, Kane is most likely going to be the one scoring for them when they do beat someone, and he can score a lot of points as well, as he's shown in the past. So Kane is a great player to have, and I think the second best forward in the game at the moment. Next up, Saka, a close second to Kane in terms of the best single game week players. Saka has obviously been consistent all season, and he's playing for the best team in the league, and he is the best player for the best team in the league. So yeah, he's a great pick. He's obviously nailed. He's on penalties. Everyone has Saka at this point. I think a lot of us have, at least. I didn't have him until I wildcarded him in game week 27, but for now he looks like a great option, especially for the next 2 game weeks, potentially even 3 if you want to keep him for the double and bench boost with him. That's perfectly fine against Leeds at home. It's a good fixture. So yeah, Saka's a good pick. It's just the fact that they don't have any double game week fixtures that makes him slightly less desirable than the other players you see on the screen right now. Next up, Zinchenko, yet another Arsenal player, Arsenal defender, and the game week 28 fixture is also a huge selling point for Arsenal, because obviously game week 28 is a pretty huge blank game week, as you can see. Estupinian, McAllister, Mitoma, Rashford, they don't play, so you're gonna need every single player other than them to get some points for you in FPL, and the Arsenal players are the most likely to get points with Crystal Palace at home. That's also why you have Saka, because Saka is going to be the best captaincy option in game week 28, so he's important to have. But Zinchenko, we're on Zinchenko now. He is important in his own right. He has been the best Arsenal defender lately, and I think it's pretty clear now. He's in the final third all the time. He had a lot of touches in the box against Bournemouth. That ended up being a way more difficult game than you expected for Arsenal, but Zinchenko has shown that he's right up there, getting assists, even getting chances to shoot as well, and he really likes to shoot as well. So he can get goals, he can get assists, and I think he's the best Arsenal defensive option, even ahead of Gabriel, who I still have in my own team, but that's mostly due to loyalty because I love Gabriel. But Zinchenko is the best Arsenal option, and he's a great option to have in at least the next 2 game weeks. And then you can sell him for someone like Luke Shaw in game week 29 or something. Moving on, the final midfielder is James Maddison. I have him in my own team personally, and for good reason, because he's been the talisman for Leicester this season. He's been providing FPL points pretty much every time he's been fit, and he's back fit now. Who knows how long that will last, but you got to hope for the best. And I think if he lasts until game week 30 as well, the double game week 29 with Crystal Palace away and Aston Villa at home, that's amazing fixtures, and then Bournemouth at home in the next fixture. So Maddison is also someone you can stash on your bench against Chelsea. You're going to play him in game week 28, obviously, with the blank game week. And then you have the great options, or the great fixtures in game week 29 and game week 30. So he's my final midfield option. And it's also because I don't feel like there's that many good midfield options in general. Obviously, Chelsea have good fixtures. They don't have any good midfielders. Brentford have good fixtures. They don't really have any good midfielders. You could go with a second Arsenal midfielder for sure, but they don't have a double game week. Maddison has that, and I think Maddison has comparable or pretty much better fixtures than the Arsenal attackers as well, because I see a lot of players or a lot of FPL managers with Saka and someone like Martinelli or Saka and Ødegaard, and they're benching Ødegaard or Martinelli in this upcoming game week against Fulham away. So you might as well bench Maddison against Chelsea and then have better fixtures going forward after that. So yeah, Maddison is my favorite fifth favorite midfield option for that matter. You can obviously go with someone like Salah as well, but he has 1 game against Bournemouth, and he has blank and then a tough double game week fixture. So for the cheaper price, I feel like Maddison is a better pick. Next up, also another sort of differential player, and it's Brendan Johnson. He showed last game week why he's such a dangerous FPL player. Scored twice against Everton, and he was typical like strikers, poachers goals as well. He also has amazing Game Week 29 fixtures, and he has a fixture in Game Week 28, and he also even has a decent fixture in Game Week 30. So I think he's one of the better options if you're looking to sell Haaland in Game Week 28 and not have him in Game Week 29 either. I think Johnson is one of the better options. Obviously, this wildcard draft leaves out Haaland entirely, and I'm doing it a week earlier than most people will probably sell him in Game Week 28. And that's just because I want to save the transfer for later, because you really want to have 2 transfers in Game Week 29. So having Johnson, he's another one you could just stash on your bench. Johnson and Madison you can stash on your bench. Then you have every single other player with good fixtures. Game Week 27 is a really good game week in general, so it doesn't really matter if you have 2 players who don't have the best fixtures, because you can just bench them. And yeah, Johnson has great fixtures after that, so I think it makes a lot of sense. There's obviously a couple other attacking options. The striker options are a bit better than the midfield options for me in terms of the 5th or 6th best players. Obviously, you have Kelechi and Nacho you can select, but he missed so many chances last game against Southampton that I'm not sure he's going to start for Leicester going forward. You have a more template sort of pick in Ollie Watkins, but he's sort of hot and cold, so maybe his hot spell is gone now. He blanked last game week, so maybe things are going to dry up for him going forward, but he's still a good option, obviously. And then you have other players, Joao Felix. There are some other options as well, but Gnonto as well is someone, if he comes back and starts playing more regularly again, he's also another option, but a bit of a lesser option. I think Johnson is the best third best option amongst the forwards. Next up, we're going with the final defender, and I've landed on Sven Botman. Another sort of template pick, because obviously Newcastle have the double game week in Game Week 31. They also have decent fixtures before that. They have a double game week fixture in 29. They have a fixture in 28. They have a good fixture in 27. And Newcastle have been really good defensively this season as well. Lately, not so much, and that's also why I'm sort of hesitant when it comes to Botman. Obviously, you have another great option in Rico Henry for Brentford if you want to do the full-on 3 Brentford, 3 Brighton players. I'm not so sure about Brentford going forward, though. I feel like Botman is more someone you can stash even after Game Week 30 as well, while Henry is someone you probably don't want to keep for that long. Obviously, Henry offers more going forward than Botman, so maybe that leans you more towards Henry. But at the same time, you could also pick someone else from Newcastle, someone like Fabian Schär, for example, who has more of an attacking threat, even though he's more expensive than Botman. So there are plenty of options to go with in the 5th defensive spot, but I feel like the Botman is the safest guy to have, because he has a double game week in 29, probably a double game week 31 as well, and he plays for a good team and for a cheap price, so that's why I've selected him. I feel like the supplemental players like Botman, like Johnson and stuff, they should really be as cheap as possible, and that's why I've gone with the cheapest goalkeeper possible, which is Danny Ward. So I feel like it's going to be really tough to fit in all the Man United players and all the Liverpool players you're going to want eventually in FPL. So I feel like the players that you want to just stash for the rest of the season, your Wards, your Botmans, all those players should be really the cheap options. Obviously, I have some cheap options in defense as well. You could obviously go with, I've said obviously a couple of times now, but you can go with Fofana as your final defender as well. He seems nailed for Chelsea. He scored now. Last game week, he was in my differential video last week, if you saw that. And if you paid attention to that and put him in your squad, then you gained 14 points from that. And Fofana is an amazing defender. I think we've forgotten that in amongst all the injuries that he has had the last few seasons, but he is really an amazing defender. That's why Chelsea bought him for a lot of money. So he's also a defensive option. But anyways, Danny Ward, like I said, the cheapest option in defense. You could also go with Steele if you have only 2 Brighton players, but I feel like you need 3 outfield players from Brighton rather than having the Brighton goalkeeper. I made that mistake with Sanchez. I'm not gonna advise you to do the same mistake that I did. So Ward comes in. He also has a really good double game week 29 fixture, and that's really only the game week you need him for as well. Raya can be your starting goalkeeper from now until eternity, really. So, well, not eternity, but I feel like Raya you can keep until at least, I think game week 35 is somewhere where I could potentially go with Ederson, but that's so far into the future. I'm not even going to go into that now. I'm just going to end this video. That's it for me. This is my ideal team going forward in FPL. If you disagree, if you feel like there are some picks that I'm not selecting that I should have, please say so in the comment section. I'd like to hear your feedback. Obviously, you can like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And tomorrow, in Thursday afternoon, I guess, we'll release another episode of the FPL Scope podcast with Kevin and Kimo, my co-hosts on the podcast. So looking forward to that. And take care and goodbye.